Recording in progress. What's up, Crashed It Nation? We're here live on the Crashed It podcast. Today we got joining us Vince McGee, the driver of the number 7. He was putting it down out there this weekend. I think he left. We've been having technical difficulties all day. We're going to see if he can get back on here. He did not accept the live broadcast that goes on YouTube. So, try to get him back on here. So, we started out California, the Moniteau County Fair on Friday night with Figure 8. And then Saturday night, we had a demolition derby by J&B Promotions. And Friday night, I don't know if you guys were there or not, but we started the ceremonies off with a remembrance of the one and only Bruce Longan. He meant a lot to the Figure 8 world, and we had a moment of silence for him. And I know it meant a lot to his wife, Deborah, and I just know it meant a lot to her and their family. And we were always thinking of them, but the demolition derby world lost another great driver, as I've been seeing on the social medias today. They lost Brady Larson, passed away tragically. So we just want to be with his family. Our thoughts and prayers are with you guys. And he drove the 110 car and ass kickers on Blizzard Bash. I'm trying to get Vince back here. Hey, God, be quiet. Yes, go. Let's see here. We've been having technical difficulties with him all night, so we're going to try to get him back on. So Vince McGee, I'm just going to introduce him a little bit while we're waiting. He drove the number 7 car in the stock class on Saturday night, as well as the gut and go. I think he drove a Toyota Camry, and he had looked like a Crown Vic. He did really good, and we just I want him to walk you through what goes through his mind. That anyone that was there knows that it was just a crazy. When Vince gets on the track, he only knows one speed, and it's pedal to the metal. And he wears like an open face helmet and stuff, so it's really cool to watch his expressions. And I've always got a kick out of his rider's expressions too, because when you get in the car with Vince, you're along for the ride for sure. And looks like he's joining back up. I'm gonna change his name real quick.
Mom's on the podcast.
Now, are we ready or what?
I think so.
So, Vince, thanks for coming on the podcast. Before you got on here the second time, I was kind of telling everybody who you were and kind of how you drive.
Yeah,
And
thanks for having me.
a lot of people don't know that you were riding shotgun on my first ever win at Versailles Figure 8 back in the day.
Yeah,
that was my first win. 2000 and I don't even know. I thought I had the trophy next to me, but it's not in this room. It's in the other.
Yeah, that was
that
was when I first met Emily. I first met you guys.
Yeah. So kind of tell everybody how you got started with Demolition Derby, and then we'll talk about your recap on the fair this weekend up in California.
My dad and his buddies used to derby a long time ago, and they got out of it whenever we started getting older, and then whenever I met Emily, I met you guys, and it kind of sparked it up a little bit more, and then I started getting to know everybody around here in Eldon, and I was like, well, heck, we're gonna get back in the car and try it over again, and that's how we got started.
Awesome. And man, one thing I was telling everybody, when you got out on the track Saturday, you ran the stock class first. What you first of all, you got to the track, what'd you think of the layout? Were you excited with the way the track turned out, or were you kind of bummed they shortened it a little bit? But as a driver, what's your perspective? I know as a fan, uh, I was kind of bummed out they shortened the track because Moniteau County is usually one of my favorite places to record to because my subscribers want to watch people go end to end, and I'm like, man, that's gonna cut down the show. But I was rather impressed with the way that people drove, even with the shorter track. There were still some hard hits out there for sure.
Yeah, it was a nice track. It was different from it being longer than I ran there before, but uh, it was a good track. They did a really good job on it and stuff. So I kind of liked it. So, but it's all good. I was a little upset when I first got there over some wheels and stuff. I loaded up once, so and then a lot of the big car guys come over and talked me into staying and unloading my car and stuff. So, and then Gary come over and said I could run my little solid. So, but other than that, it was a really good track. I liked it. So
Yeah. So, did you have any problems with building the '03, or what kind of car was that? That was a
it was a
Vic, right?
2000 Lincoln Town Car.
Lincoln.
Yep.
Someone put on our All American Racing. Put on, I guess that's Kyle Wardenhausen. Put Mad Dog McGee, baby, live.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but
So, did you have any problems with the build or anything prior to getting to the track?
no, that car was actually built for Spring X bone stock rules, and uh, I was trying to run it a couple other places, and like I tried to run it at Boone County, and then Gary told me no because it had a lower cradle, and then he said I could run it at Moniteau County, so it was already built. We added a couple plates to it, and that's about it. So other than that, it was already completely done, ready to go, just ready to be broke in. So
So, did you build that motor? Or did you have it built by someone? That thing sounded wicked out there. Anyone that was watching was like, "Who the heck's in that number 7?" They didn't really know who you were. They're just like, "That number 7, that silver number 7." He was freaking flying around out
I
there, and I was like, "Yeah, he drives like that and everything." We had a show in Eldon, and he was just wide open the whole time too. And uh,
yeah,
oh,
I
the
built that
problem
motor.
child coming in the background.
Yeah, yeah, that's my little sidekick. He drives a little better than I do. Uh, no, I've actually built that motor. So, but I like doing that stuff. I'm building another. I actually built that one for Emily for her couples class car, and I was going to try to break it in. So that's what we're going to do. We're thinking about putting the bash car motor in it next for Mocane and breaking it in Mocane. So
Yeah. So did you know anyone out there on the track, or was it just a bunch of people that you didn't know that you just wanted to go out there and have fun, or was the plan to run with anyone, or it
nope,
didn't look like
I didn't know anybody out there. I've heard of Trey and Justin Meyer and all them, just them two fellers. And then I was like, well, I don't know anybody here, so we're just gonna go out there and flat send it. And all the Eldon boys were telling me to go after the 13 car and kind of stay away from that '03, that Justin Myers car. And I was like, well, I didn't realize Trey Hero was running it until he pulled up next to me. So I was like, well, we're gonna stay away from these guys as long as we can. So and we did just
I
that.
was
So
laughing. I was laughing so hard because the flag drops and you backed it right up to the dirt, and you come flying across the track the long way and bounced off 3 cars. You hit someone real good. And then you just went right through them into the next. And I think Justin Meyer see that. He's like, holy shit, I got to take care of this right away. So he backed
Oh,
up, waited for you to come around the corner, and he come all the way across the track at you.
oh yeah, that '03 was hard. It was hard. We met. The the crazy part of me said hold it to the floor and meet him in the middle, but the smarter side of me said no, you better let off and let go of that steering wheel because it's gonna hurt, especially in a bone stock car up against the built '03. So I got almost
Yeah.
to him and I was like, screw this, I'm letting off. So, but
When you
it was a
went,
hard hit.
and anyone can get on the YouTube and watch the heat. I didn't have a very good angle for this one. I was trying to hold my phone to the sky, but I got a better angle later on in the night. But man, when you hit that dirt mound, did it break your steering or what? It looked like you were having trouble steering right after you hit that mound at 45 mile an hour.
Yeah, yeah, I hit the dirt pretty hard. Uh, I'm not sure what the heck was going on. I I don't know if I got my steering shaft wasn't angled right or what, but it wouldn't steer to the right very well. But Trey finished the steering off for me whenever he 45'd me and got my bumper up into my radiator. So, but
Yeah.
it steers straight. That's about it. It won't steer left or right no more. So, but we're gonna pull her down
No.
and we're gonna have her at Mocaine. So a lot of the guys around here already said they was gonna help me get her pulled down and plated up, and we're gonna send it at Mocaine. So
Yeah, that's exciting.
so
So then we got into the gut and go next. Did you have someone riding with you for the stock class or?
no, nobody rode me in the stock class. That's my
But
training crew
you
and
had a
stuff.
rider. You had a rider in the gut and go. Is that right?
Oh yeah, Zach Skurlock. That that he helped me. We built that car on Saturday morning. So
Heck yeah.
yeah,
So
we
what
built
were
it
you
Saturday
driving
morning.
for our listeners that are gonna tune in tomorrow morning on Spotify? What were you driving?
Uh, 98 Camry,
I like
V6.
that Camry.
I did. I done bought two more. I'm gonna get two more tomorrow night. So Cam's already wants one for Carnage, so one of them's gonna be for Carnage. So
He was down there by Jacob's trailer. You come down there, smiled ear to ear, said, "Hell yeah, I'm getting me a couple more of them things straight as an arrow still."
oh yeah.
And
So yeah, it's
you were
still
driving
straight.
that
It's
one. You're driving that one end to end too. Is that just your strategy going out there every time, or does it ever change for you, or is it just there? Are you just there to put on a show for the fans? And
I'm just there to put on a show. I'm out there to have a good time, give everybody a good show. A lot of people come to see a show, but that's all. I like to go out there and have a lot of fun. And it sucked that I was friends with a lot of people on the track, Saturday night in the gut and go. So I was like, it's kind of, well, we're going to just start picking them off one by one. So, but there ain't really no strategy. Just go out there and have a lot of fun and try to tear a bunch of stuff up. So,
so, what'd you end up? I think they said you ended up splitting the Mad Dog, the
yeah,
overall Mad Dog, or something.
me and Justin Meyer split the overall Mad Dog. So, and I think Rick Worthy got the Mad Dog for the gut and go class. So
Yeah, I thought that was cool how they did the Mad Dog there. I haven't been to a lot of derbies this year, and they said that they had some sponsors that gave some money for the Mad Dog, and then they split the 50-50. So 50, how the 50-50 raffles are. Usually it's 50% goes towards, like if there's a point fund, it goes to the driver point fund or some kind of like other, not lucky sevens, but like I've heard other places give it to like some kind of charity or something like that. I know Lucky Sevens, when they do it, it all goes back right back to the driver's point fund at the end of the year. But that was cool how they just threw it at the Mad Dog. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite class Saturday night? Which one did you have more fun in? The stock car or the gut and go?
Oh man. I'm gonna say the stock class. I know I got a lot of learning, as a driver in that class and building in that class, but uh that I'm gonna have to say that was my favorite. So
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if you and Justin Meyer had a side bet at who could go 0 to 60 faster. You both were just flying around out there. I was like, holy crap. I mean,
yeah,
everyone was it was a good derby. It was, I think TJ and Kayla Johns were out there, and uh, Trey Hewer bringing home the win, and TJ got second. And
yeah,
then I think Justin Meyer got third. I
yeah, he
couldn't find
did.
the results anywhere. So I was just going off of my memory now, but which is
Yeah,
scary. But
I've been talking to Justin every day since Saturday. So, but he's a pretty cool feller.
yeah,
It was a
he's
lot of fun. You know.
yeah, he's already got like 25,000 views on TikTok for the video, the little reel I made of him putting that old boy through the dirt. And then
Yeah.
yeah, Facebook's got like 2,000. I think he's up to like 30,000 total on the reel.
Goodness. Goodness. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of good drivers and builders there. It was. I can't wait to do it again. So.
Yeah. So Mo Kane's next on the agenda for you.
Oh yes, sir. Trying to get some more seat time before Bash. So I got a spot at Bash. So we're trying to
Heck yeah. What
get
class?
some
The
bugs.
stock class?
Limited well. The stock class is sold out, so we're just going all or nothing.
Go talk to old Trey and Rob for some
Yeah,
pointers. They do pretty good in that limited well class.
yeah,
They do the team portion of that. Sorry, I'm responding.
oh, you're all right.
You have anyone you want to thank or anything for letting you do this crazy sport or helping out with anything?
I gotta thank Emily for all the long hours in the shop and her taking care of the kids and keeping me and Zach fed and uh, Zach Scarlock. That that dude helps me out so much. I don't think none of my cars would have hit the track if he wouldn't have been here. And I gotta thank his wife for letting him come over and spending long hours over here at the shop and at the house working, you know, sometimes every night and every weekend, all day and all night, and but and All American Railings for the sponsorships and stuff and all the help they give me and the kids for driving me nuts. But but
Yeah.
other than that, that's about it.
Hey, hey, before you get off here, um, do you get nervous or anything before the derby, or is there do you have any kind of pre-derby rituals that you go through?
Oh yeah, I gotta go sit in my car right before the derby starts for a couple minutes and just sit there and just think. It's like, well, we gonna just follow this through or what? And then it's all good. So I got a little nervous when I seen Trey pull up next to me and down there Saturday. So, but uh,
Well, he tends to do that to people.
oh yeah, I was like, well, I know I'm gonna stay away from that fella for a minute.
When
So
I seen Trey pull out there, and I I thought Justin Meyer was Teddy P at first because I didn't hear him announce it or nothing. I was like, oh,
yeah,
Trey and Teddy P, they're gonna be just end to end on this, and
yeah,
you never know what you're gonna get when Trey pulls on track. I've seen him drive like he did, and I've seen him drive to make a statement right off the bat. A
yeah,
couple weeks ago from the from the drop of the green, he was making junk. So
Yeah.
he's always fun to watch. He's a really good driver and got a lot of experience behind the wheel for his age. He's
Yeah.
won on the biggest of stages. So
But,
a lot of
yeah.
quality drivers out there. It's one of those quality over quantity shows.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of good drivers, and uh, I talked to Micah. He come over there. Micah White come over and talked to me before I loaded my car. After everybody else kind of like walked away and stuff, and uh, he's telling me just to stay away from the 13 the 03, which was Justin Meyer, and I didn't realize Trey was out there until he pulled up next to me, and I was like, well, I'm staying away from these guys, and I done talked to uh, TJ Johns and Kayla, and they said, well, if you don't hit us, we won't hit you. I was like, sweet, I'm going after the other car that the Eldon guys told me to go ahead after, and then kind of stayed away from each other, and then I knew it was coming down after I seen the little black and orange car go out. I knew it was me next, so I was like, well, we're all for it. So, but it was
What
all
ended up
fun.
taking you out?
Uh, if whenever Trey hit me, it shoved my radiator into my fan. I felt the antifreeze. I just shut it down. So it still starts and
Um,
runs. I wasn't gonna blow up a perfectly good motor for a little stock class, but
yeah. What took you out in the gut and go?
uh the gas tank slid forward and busted my battery.
Holy crap!
Yeah, it busted all four straps on the gas tank, and we had the battery sitting on the tunnel. And whenever the gas tank slid forward, it busted the battery. He hit me, or I hit the back of that minivan, and it shut the car off, and it wouldn't start back up. So we didn't have no battery power. But we went out there to go
So,
start it for Kurt, so Kurt could run it this weekend in Sedalia. But we're gonna need to put a motor in it because it broke the timing belt, and whenever he hit me the last time, so they broke the timing belt and the cam gear on it. So we're gonna stick a motor in it and have it for Mocane too. So
my last question for you before I get to our next guest. Um, how does it make you feel seeing your son Cam, the problem child in the background, as he says, the problem child's his nickname. But
oh yeah.
how does it make you feel just how involved he's gotten in the sport of either, he's driving youth demolition derbies, he's driving youth bumping runs, and you've been right there with him. Does he help out in the shop, and is it like a bonding experience for you, or is it just how does it make you feel that he's kind of jumping right into this sport and being pretty competitive?
It's actually pretty cool. He does help out a lot in the shop. He's wanting to try to learn how to weld and stuff, and he really looks up to you guys and Jacob and Joshua running, and Kyle Wardenhausen and Seth De Westport. They're I think they're like his heroes or something because he's always talking about them. So, but he's a really good driver, and he's kind of smart. So he's smart at driving. He doesn't lose his head. And now that we got when like we ran Carnage, he was a little nervous at first, and then he had a little mishap in his car, and then Spring X he was nervous at first, and then he just started flat sending it. So, but he's a smart little driver, and he's learned a lot. So, but he does help out. He strips his cars out and everything. So, and he's already got his Carnage car ready for Carnage. So he's going to start stripping it out this weekend. So, but I actually enjoy it. So if it keeps him out
Yeah,
of trouble, I I'm all for it. So
yeah. I get a kick out of seeing all them kids out there, and I've already been scoping out cars for my kid for next year, and uh, I just can't wait to see what kind of junk she makes out there. But
yeah,
uh,
Yeah.
It's exciting to watch all them kids just go out there and have a blast. And
Oh yeah, he's right. He's already wanting to run big cars. So we was gonna go to Mayhem, but some stuff come up and we can't go there. So uh, Taylor from Derby Icons, he said that he's gonna have a spring at Spring X. It's gonna be a big youth car. So we're gonna build him a big car for youth up there. So but
nice.
we're gonna put him a LS in it. So EFI LS, just like what I'm running. So
Well, good. You should know some tricks by then.
oh yeah.
But thanks for coming on the podcast, sharing your run with us, and for the listeners. And good luck in the next one. We'll be watching you for sure. Anytime that number 7's on the track, Vince McGee, you want to keep an eye on that open faced helmet driving fool. So,
Oh yeah, my old suit ball. Everybody thinks I'm crazy, but it's all in the helmet. So, but
all right. Thanks for coming on.
yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
All right. Our next guest is the driver of the 76J, Jarrett Hatch. Jarrett runs figure eight. He also ran some derbies. Actually, whenever I met him first time, I believe he was running derbies back in the day. So I'm gonna pull him on here. Jarrett, thanks for coming. Can you hear us?
Yep. Thank you for having me.
So, for all the listeners, we're going to get into recapping the Moniteau County Fair and kind of how it went for you. But before we do that, we kind of got to get a background on you. So, how did you get started with demolition derby or figure eight?
Well, back when I was like 16, me and a buddy, Dustin Ferguson, built cars in a night and took it to the Moniteau County Fair, and it just went on from there.
Yeah. So, you and Dustin go way back, huh?
Oh,
See,
yeah.
this stuff I don't know until I get on here and start talking to people. So, are you from California then
Yeah.
as well?
Yep.
So did you start with demolition derby or figure eight? What was the first thing you did?
I started with figure eight for a couple years, and then eventually I was like, this ain't for me. I want to go actually tear some stuff up. And that's when I got into the mod compact.
That was back, shoot, that
Yeah.
was like
Uh, hell, I
can't
don't even.
find. It was back when my brothers were running too. I remember
Yeah.
Jeff City one night. You come out there and you're talking all about. You're like, man, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna junk some people tonight. And I just remember uh, we talked. All of us talked for a little bit before and after the derby. So
Yeah.
I remember you. That's whenever I think I first kind of met you as a person was at Jeff City. There's a derby there, and you were running a mod compact car. And then, but through the years, I've seen you run mod compacts. I've seen you run figure eight cars. Heck, you had. I've been on the track with you a couple times, and you've always raced me pretty clean. I mean, as clean as anyone else has. So
Got you.
you're a good driver. I mean, you got some of them cars that you were driving. They're pretty fast. I don't know what you do to them, but some of the listeners that listen to this podcast have no idea what Central Missouri Figure Eight Racing is all about, and they watch the videos, but you and I both know that doesn't do justice to what what you see in person when you go to these shows. But so how'd your weekend go? Friday night, you ran figure eight.
Friday night, it went all right. I mean, I can't complain. Heat race, went into the first corner and popped an axle. So that was a bummer. Got it fixed, went out for the B. And then I can't remember what happened in the B. And then I was going to stay up all night and build a gut and go. But we decided because we had a long week in front of us come Wednesday, found out I busted the timing or the tensor pulley off on the side of the motor that was in my car. So we had to pull motors and do a whole motor swap.
Was this in the figure eight car?
Yeah.
So you had definitely had some hurdles to jump over, and you being from California, a hometown show. That's the mecca of all figure eights.
Oh,
We call
yeah.
it the figure eight capital of the world. Uh, that's a show that no one wants to miss. I think there was 104 cars that hit the track or something like that night, and you never know at
Oh,
California what you're going to draw or what's going to happen. There's a bunch of rain for everybody that's tuning in throughout the week, and they actually had to cancel the tractor pull on Monday at the fair, and the track was just because of the track. And we were kind of worried. I know my brothers and I were worried for the figure eight race because usually the fair's tip top shape. The fair board hits the nail right on the head. They got the track ready, but we're like, man, with that amount of rain, they could try their best, and who knows what's going to happen. And we knew it was going to hole out, and it did a few spots. And I mean, it was rough in some of them corners, and that's just everyone has to race on the same track. We've always said it, but man, it makes it kind of it it makes the racing a little different every time. You never know who's going to find a different line that works best for them, and I just know when you see a roof sign start really bouncing and the whole card coming off the ground, I was dang.
yeah. I mean, for what we had, it would seem like it went pretty smooth.
So how'd the car run after doing all that extra work?
I mean,
How'd it run?
I feel like it ran pretty good for what I had. I wish I would have had an Ecotech for that track for sure, but
Oh yeah.
the old twos are still pretty gnarly for what
Oh
they
yeah,
are.
they are. And I've seen some of them guys, they got their computers figured out for the two-twos, and they tell me like, hey, I'd actually rather run a 2-2 at a longer track because there's a higher top end, I guess, on their tunes that they're putting towards them. And do you run a tune computer or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly just deleted, but we don't
For
do nothing
security?
really crazy to them.
No. You like delete the security out of them and
Yeah.
stuff? Yeah, we get all kinds of questions. There's a person, according to this, the details of this stream right now, there's someone listening in Argentina. They probably have no idea what the heck we're talking about. but but so figure eight went. Did you take any crazy shots, or did the race
Not,
go pretty
I
smooth for you?
I avoided all the shots I could try and save the car a little bit, but I'm about tired of it. It's not had nothing but problems so far for me.
Well, that leads me into my next question. So I show up to the Derby on Saturday night. J&B Promotions put on the Derby, and we get there, and I'm looking down. The mod compacts are they're the first. There's mowers, but they're the first Derby like car class that came out. And here I see a figure eight car pulling on the track, and I go, "What the hell is going on?" And take us through how that all came to manifest.
Well, Rhett came over that morning and he asked, "You think we can have the gut and go done in time?" And I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, hell, let's just take the figure eight car." So I was like, "Okay." I thought about it, thought about it, thought about it. About noon that day, I was like, "Hell with it. It's caused me enough trouble. Maybe we can junk it tonight." Well, So we showed up to the Derby, got through tech, and then rolled out there. And I was going to start off pretty smart because I knew I was underbuilt big time. So I started off as what I could smart, and then halfway through, I was like, "This ain't me. I can't do it." So that's when I started using my ass end as much as I could without destroying it. Well, I've done pretty good. It's not junk, I don't think, but it is starting to belly. Especially brother got a hold of me.
I think I was watching him out there, and it looked like to me he's like, I don't even know who to hit, so I'm just gonna wait for someone to hit me and just try to nudge people out of the way until until someone really hits me. And it just never. I was talking to him right after the Derby because I was like, "What the hell happened out there?" And he goes, "Man," he said, "I was getting ready to turn it up. The dang thing died." He said, "I was really getting ready just to start feeding it to people." And he said, "I just didn't know who to hit out there." And I said, "See it," and I hearing that from him, and I said, "See, it's hard when you're actually in the seat. Um, we put on all these derbies and stuff, and sometimes you've got nothing but friends out there,
Yep.
and and you just you got to tip your hat to those drivers out there that they say, it's a derby. I'm going to go out there, hit someone, and hopefully I don't hurt their feelings because it's a derby, and that's what you do. It's a derby, so
Uh,
it just it just makes you really tip your cap to those guys that go out there and they have those conversations with their friends, like, "Hey, it's just us, and I'm still gonna put on a show." So
it definitely got me back into wanting to do compact.
I
I
was
miss.
hoping that little figure eight car junk one of them cars.
I was trying. Hell, the only thing that took me out was, of course, getting pushed up on the dirt mound. And when he did, the ground cable came loose, so it didn't have a good ground and it wouldn't start back up. Car still runs.
Heck yeah. So I gotta ask you, what was your take on the track? Were you surprised at all when you seen it shortened when you got there? Or?
Yeah, I walked up there and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. When I seen that berm there in the middle of the track, I was like, no. I mean, granted, in my vote, I think it helped me out a lot being way underbuilt like I was, but I still ended up on that mound.
It's too close.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just wondering, as a fan, you and I know you weren't on here earlier. As a fan, I was kind of like, oh man, but everyone, I don't ever knock any promoters. They got their own reasons for everything they do, and it might have been a safety thing for them, or I don't know. But as a fan, I was kind of like, oh man, I was
yeah,
hoping to see someone go end to end tonight, but we still got to
yeah,
see that. Just wasn't as far.
yeah.
So
I will say it was a good show. There was a
yeah,
lot of hard hits.
yeah, there was. I mean, it was. Uh, I thought both nights the shows were pretty awesome. Good crowd both nights, and as a fan of the sports, both the sports, that's all you can ask for is a good crowd, good quality cars running each and every night, and the drivers giving it their all every time, and that's all you can ask for. So,
Yep.
but I do got to ask you a couple things here before I get you off here. So, what goes through your head? Like, take someone through a ride, like your average figure eight race. Is there do you have a plan going into it?
Not really. I'd pretty well go off of how how everybody else is driving. If they're going wide or sucking into the tire. Because with me, I try and suck the tire as much as possible. But other than that, just hold on
Heck yeah.
because I don't
You've
let
had
up.
you've had some good runs, and you've had cars that really run fast. And I know last year for sales, I was like, in the B, I was like, what the hell is he running? Because I had the slowest car I've ever driven in my life, and you passed me like a sitting still. So that next corner, I was just like, I'm gonna throw my bumper in his back bumper and hope he takes me for a ride. And it worked for a few laps. So
Yeah. I was kind of bummed after that because I drove it off the track and loaded it up because I don't think I made the feature that night. I think I missed it by like a spot because I think I got spun out early
yeah,
on. But I loaded it up and got to the shop and stuff the next day and went to go start it and it wouldn't start. I was bummed. Still don't know what's wrong with the motor.
yeah. These are the ones that it you just kick yourself over. I've got a
Yeah,
car right now. I know it's got a ground somewhere. I know it does, but I cannot find it to save my life. Like it's grounding itself out. I've I'm tempted just to go buy a harness for it and be done with it.
this one it's got like it turns over and everything, but it's got fuel, it's got spark. The only thing it has is not run.
So before we get you off here, how's your season been going with the figure eight? Have you made any enemies or rivals out there? Are you just trying to try your best?
I just try my best and hope I can go somewhere.
Heck
I know the
yeah.
past couple of years has been pretty rough on me, so I guess we'll go from there. Keep digging.
That's all you can do. You never know when you're just gonna find it, find it back, and then you'll be the one to beat for a while. So
Yeah,
right now, right now, the Dylan Chilton, he's got something figured out, two in a
he's got
row.
it out. That was like last year though. He had it figured out then too.
Yeah. Ever since he broke his arm, I don't know what happened. Ever since that surgery, he come back and he's just been like in the race every.
Oh yeah,
He's just he's got a good car and he's a good driver. So,
but yeah, I think next year we're gonna take a break on the figure eight. We'll run a little bit, but I think we're gonna focus more on derbies.
heck yeah! And I seen uh the Ferguson boys were out there in the gut and go,
Yeah,
and today I seen I can't remember who it was, but they were wanting to trade their figure eight setup for a mod compact setup. So
I'm I haven't said it to a lot of people, but I'm actually going and trading Saturday for a mod setup on my big car stuff.
heck yeah.
Yeah,
Better watch out.
I'm ready. We're gonna come back swinging, that's for sure.
Well, I did want to tell you while you're on here that you were an honorable mention that night for the Mad Dog in the big car. You had a vote, and you were doing pretty good damage with what you had out there. I was like, dang, I didn't
Yeah,
even know you derby in big cars.
yeah, that was only my second derby in a big car, and then I pretty well finished that car off in Columbia, and I was just like, I like big cars, but to me, I don't get the adrenaline rush and stuff as I do in a compact. They don't get the speed, I don't think.
Sometimes some of them big car guys, they just flat get with it, and
Yeah.
but you see the mod compacts or some of the compact cars that when they get out there and the track's right. When the track's right, oh gosh, I would
Oh,
not want to be in there. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that has to hurt.
oh yeah.
Uh,
But I'm ready.
heck yeah, we're excited for that. You'll have to put on a show. You see me up there, 'cause I'll make a video for you. But, thanks for coming on the podcast. It's fun having you on here. One thing that a lot of the figure eight drivers and last year we kind of had a running joke with you. You'd show up with your car and we'd say, "Who the heck's driving this tonight?" Because you were like introducing people to the sport, and
Oh,
we've always said there's always some recruiters out there, and you're one of them because you're just like, "Oh yeah, they're driving my car tonight. I'm just riding." So,
yeah. I like to get people or new people that don't really know what they're doing or haven't been really around the sport a whole lot and haven't got the chance to drive. Give them the opportunity before they go and spend all the money to fuck or to build a car.
yeah, heck yeah, yeah. It takes a lot of time and effort when you're in that built up figure eight class. I look at I've got I get to tech the cars and a lot of the shows, and I see them rolling through, and I'm like, man, these guys have a lot of time and effort in these cars, and I mean, it shows though. They're running them 2 years or so, and they're
Yeah.
still, they're driving them a lot smarter than they used to. Like just the evolution of the sport, and you're seeing people run a lot longer, a lot more people finishing the races, a lot harder to win. Um, that's something just to make the A main these days. I mean, you see past point champions having to use passes to get to the A main, and then they go out there and win it, and they wouldn't even have been in it if they didn't have that pass. So
Oh yeah.
that's just a tip of the cap to all the competition out there, how everyone's really pushing the envelope and getting better and better every year. And ooh, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of these drivers that when I started to now, it's unreal.
Oh yeah, we see that in the demolition derby world, and we see it in the figure eight world too. It's just like they go hand in hand. You see drivers just take leaps and bounds every now and then. You're like, what they do over the summer? I mean, or over the off season? Because now they've got something figured out, and you're trying to get some pointers. Like, what are you doing different? Because something's changed, and I just don't know what yet.
Oh,
But do you have anyone you want to thank before we get you off here? Any
uh,
sponsors or anyone that just helps you out,
a lot,
supports you?
a lot of help from Corey Jenkins. He helps me out a lot. Rhett Kiesling, he helps me. Can't thank the old lady enough for dealing with it. All the late nights in the shop especially with a newborn. There's a lot.
Yeah, congrats on that.
Thank you.
I know that can be tough, having a newborn and trying to be out in the shop to get stuff ready, and especially when you're changing tensioners and stuff 2 days before the derby. You're figure eight.
We didn't
That's a testament to you guys. So
we didn't even change it. We just completely swapped the motors and went on about the day.
oh yeah. Hey,
It, the whole bracket and everything.
what's your plans going for throughout the year? Do you have a next destination or plan on
Uh,
running anywhere else?
I don't know yet. I know we'll definitely be at the last show at the
Heck
speed,
yeah.
and then maybe whenever I go get this compact set up, I got to look at the car, see what all it needs. As long as it's not a lot of work to get it fixed, we may be in Mocaine.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing you wherever you show up. It's always nice to see you pulling that 76J pulling through the pit gates, and you're just a well liked guy out there, and we appreciate everything you do for the sport. Keep it up, man. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that was Jared Hatch, driver of the 76J, and man, what a weekend he had. He it sounded like he had to do a lot of work just to get his car back on the track, and now we're going to get into recapping. So what we're going to do is we're going to recap the figure eight, and then we're also going to recap the demolition derby as well. Right after that, I'll give you guys some snippets. I don't have any co-host on here tonight. My other two co-hosts that haven't showed up. They're probably busy pulling their bash cars in. I know a lot of them, people were telling them how far they were at the Derby, and they're like, man, we hadn't even pulled their cars in yet. So I'd imagine that's that time of year to start working on their Blizzard Bash cars. And the next week, we're going to have a free guest on here as well to try to, get more people on the podcast. And if you're listening, I'll try my best to recap this show by myself. And if anyone wants to join, they're more than welcome to send me a message on my Facebook Messenger. They could co-host it with me. Heck, I don't care. But so Friday night we had our figure eight, Lucky Sevens promotions. I think they had over 100 cars hit the track. Great night of racing. Like I said earlier, a lot of rain week 4, so we were worried about the track. We started right off with our youth bump and run, or actually we had Power Wheels first, and then we have our youth bump and run. And the youth bump and run, Gatlin Folks bringing home the win, followed by Hunter Bish. Another race where we had multiple people on the lead lap, and I thought it was just a testament to them youth drivers. Man, they went out there and they sent it for the crowd. I felt like they really looked up to the crowd and said, man, these stands are packed and we're going to put on a show for them. There's some junk made out there, and Leland Bell bringing home third, Cameron McGee getting fourth right ahead of Braden Jackson. Bethany Baldwin Thompson, it was her birthday. She was out there racing on her birthday and celebrating that. And she got 6th place. Kaylee Wood 7th. Jace Ray ran into some problems, finishing 8th. Lane Tiggerheim got 9th, and Colton Hoffman got 10th. Hayden Kemper getting 11th, so he could not double down from Jeff City. He was giving me crap at the show, like, hey, man, I was really trying my best to put on, to win at Jeff City, and then you went out there and said Hunter Bish won on your podcast. And I just wanted to let him know on the podcast that, we did get it right after that. But yeah, I did have to get corrected, and I'm sorry about that, man. I hope you're yeah, and Tyler Rhodes finishing it out with 12. So we had 12 youth bump and run drivers. All the drivers really did well. We're continuing to see progression out of these youth drivers, and it's awesome to see as a representative of Lucky Sevens Promotions and Crashed It podcast and YouTube channel. I see the future's bright for the sport. These kids are jumping in these cars, and they're getting better and better as time goes on, and they're fearless. They're just absolutely hammering down out there, and the general public's taking notice. I seen a news tribune after the Jeff City race with the little girl that drove the JP. I think it was Aubrey Wells, drove the JP lawn care car. Just turned 10, jumped right in, loved it. There was a big article. So there's just a lot of support in the community for the youngsters, and Tobin's Towing always putting on great trophies. And man, I walked down there after the figure eight, and I got a kick out of it because Gatlin Folks had like a 5-foot trophy, and then I think it was the Westport Shane DeWestport Lawn Service and More, I think, or maybe it was one of the Westports donated trophies for the figure eight, and they were massive, 1 through 3. And then I seen for the bone stock figure eight, that was the next class that came on, and Kurt Turpin bringing home the win. I was giving him crap because Hunter Bish's second place trophy is bigger than the first place trophy that he got. And I was just giving him crap about that. And I, it kick, I got a kick out of that. I was like, man, you really got the short end of the stick. But in the bone stock figure eight, Kurt Turpin doubling down 2 first places. He got first in Cole County, first in Moniteau County. That little Toyota Celica he's got is on rails. And Jordan Youngmeyer getting second. I believe he had a faster lap than Kurt. This was really cool because Josh was testing something a lot of you guys didn't know. He's actually testing the team race system that we had for our eventual team race figure eight that we're planning on putting on. But he was up there, he had 2 screens, so I could really see the second screen, and I was watching lap times and stuff. And Jordan Youngmeyer throughout the race was knocking down more consistent laps than Kurt was, and he was really coming. And I was telling him that at the Derby. I kind of stood next to him for a little bit on Saturday night. And he's like, man, I was trying my best, and then blew a tire or something at the end. Just didn't have enough. So he got second place. Brandon Thompson bringing home third. Consistent top 4 for him on the year. Chris Miller getting back out there, bringing home fourth. We were like, do you know how to do this? Chris was a really competitive driver back in like 2016, 2017 for the figure eight. And it was nice to see him back in a car. Clinton Hartley bringing out their top 5. William Duncan 6th. Joe Youngmeyer 7th. Tyler Long 8th. Jeremy Willison 9th. And Robbie Craters rounding out your top 10. So it was nice to see them bone stock guys. And right after the bone stock figure eight, we got right into our Worthy Bell Bonds Championship Series. Heat 1 was Jordan Piter, Corey Jenkins, Justin Jordan, not Dustin Jordan. Justin Jordan, Chad Bish, Garrett Ferguson, Adam Corpening, Austin Wood, Don Heidbrink, and Samuel Hurd. So they had 9 in that first heat. That first heat came out and they set the tone right off the bat. Jordan Piter bringing home your win, followed by Corey Jenkins. And if you guys go on the Lucky Sevens, like their website, you can see, the fastest laps. I thought that was really cool. Joshua posted it on there for everyone to see the fastest heat lap. And the fastest lap in that heat was not Jordan Pires. Corey Jenkins had the faster heat lap. So I thought that was really cool. And heat 2, Dylan Chilton bringing home the win. He just took that momentum from winning in Cole County that Jeff said he right over and won his heat. And one thing about Dylan is he had to be thinking like, man, last week I made the B. I didn't even make the A. Went to the B. And I got beat out and didn't even make the A. And I'm not going to let that happen this week. And I'm going to win. So with him winning his heat, he went right on to the A main. Also, we took the top 2. So Kyle Wartenhausen got to go into the heat. Barely missing it was Hayden Forsythe and Dustin Thompson. That was a really close battle. But the DBR boys bringing it home. See, I got getting messages and stuff. Yeah, I thought it was really cool too. Joshua Craig put it's awesome. We got that nerd tech sheet now, and it's only going to get better and better because in the booth he was working on all kinds of crazy stuff. He was breaking you guys down into teams and stuff before he even went on the track, and you could see the team results. And he's still working on a few things, but he's about got it figured out. He is really close to getting it where, oh yeah, team race is a go. Like it's getting closer and closer. But in Heat 3, Landon Worthy bringing home the win, followed by in the BAS machine, Wesley Jordan. So BAS taking 1 and 2 in Heat 3, right after the DBR team took it. And man, David Gerling and Jason Stark, James Fisher, I think he broke an axle. He was doing really well in his heat and just come around the corner and popped an axle or something. I seen the frustration. He was like hitting the steering wheel and just bunch of emotion right there because he's been fighting that thing week in and week out, and he's slipping down our points leaderboard, and he's just, I think he's starting to feel the pressure, and he works his tail off on that car, and you could just see some raw emotion come out right there, and uh, he just John Dow bringing home 6th, Jared Hatch coming in 7th. Like he said, he broke his axle too, so the track was eating some cars up. And Heat 4, Jake Timbrook bringing home the win, followed by Blaine Tobin. Those were the two that advanced to the A main. Seth the Westport bringing home 3rd. And he had that car moving pretty good. Ricky Bobby bringing home 4th, Jared Milligan 5th, Dustin Weeken getting 6th, Nick Johnson putting on a show, getting 7th place, and Jordan Piter 8th place. Brooklyn Billman and that S26, she got 9th. So that was cool to watch. That heat, there were some battles going on in that heat, and as the night got on, we kept seeing more and more people feeling the pressure to make the A. So we started seeing a lot more contact than we normally see in the figure 8 series, and I was loving every bit of it. As a announcer, I was trying to get the fans and most involved as I could. As a videographer for Crashed It, I was just ecstatic because I knew I was about to make a couple of reels out of those figure 8 races. And I've got some for the good racing too, that I'm going to come out with too, but I'm still putting some stuff together for that. But when there's a hard hit in the center, you're probably going to be on a TikTok somewhere. That's all I got to say. And I know the drivers that are racing the series don't like to hear that, but it's just the fans, that's what they like to see too. Every now and then they see, someone trying to thread the needle and just not make it. And sometimes they just get put over. But Heat 5, Jay Stark bringing home the win. He was flat flying in that S24 car. It was like a silver car. Bryson Clark, another A main, making it. I called that one. I said, that's California bodes well for him and his driving style. Goes out there and just goes all out every race. And I knew he's about to put on a show. And Dylan, I'm ready for the team show too, man. I was just checking in on the chat. The team show is going to be awesome. It's something that we've been talking about for a long time, and we've been talking about how we would do it. And that's for another episode, because that's a whole episode in itself. But Heat 6, Garrett Jones bringing home the win. It's nice seeing him back out there, driving that 422 purple and black car. Dawson Gump making another A main appearance in that 36G. We're really seeing a lot of improvement out of Dawson this year. This is my analyst section here. Dawson's been really improving throughout the year. I would not be surprised to see Dawson Gump on the podium sometime in the near future. I told him before Jeff City that he was, I felt like he was going to have a good run. He ran a smooth race. There were some times I wish he would have got on it a little bit more, but I see a lot of positives in that 36G machine. I think he's got some things figured out how to keep it together, and he's a good driver. He's improving. 1776 was Beth Anderson and Johnny Egger running his 10E machine. Landon Worthy getting 5th. Kevin Witt getting 6th place. And Dustin Ferguson in 7th. Misty Thompson running 8th, and Matt Youngmeyer rounding out your field in heat number 6. All those would go to the B, other than Dawson and Garrett. In heat 7, Nathan Domermuth, the hometown king. I mean, he is a legend from California. Bringing home the win. Getting 2nd place was Jordan Youngmeyer. Right. I mean, so this one we had to take 3 different camera angles to determine who got 2nd place in this. So as Nathan was crossing the line, Jordan had a bumper on Brent. In the very next frame, Brenton had a bumper on Jordan. So we had to go back and watch multiple camera angles to finally determine at the time that Nathan Domermuth crossed the finish line, Jordan Youngmeyer had a bumper over Brenton Holdsharp. So that was one of the most exciting heats of the night for me. Them 3 were going back and forth all night, and Jordan and Brenton were just, I mean, they were in a slugfest between each other, and it was really cool to watch. And yeah, I was cracking up out there. In heat 8, Joshua Craig. Holy crap, dude! I don't know what you did to that car, but must put an os in it or something. I don't know. He was flying. Uh, Joshua Craig was on rails, and Dylan Bronner running 2nd. Those 2 would advance. Dylan Flatt bringing home 4th, Landon down 3rd. Landon was flying around too this heat, and he would get flying around. Dylan would pass him. He'd fly back by Dylan, and then he'd overdrive it, and Dylan would pass him again. And I talked to Landon after the show, and he said, "Man, I overdrove my car a couple times. I was letting my temper get to the best of me, and you'll see why as we recap the Bs." But moving on, after that was our time for our B main. We took one first place finisher out of each B main. We had 4 of them. In B1, Johnny Edgar bringing home the win. And it was a fight between Johnny Edgar, Garrett Ferguson, Adam Corpney, and Lori Edgar. I mean, these guys and girl was flat putting on a show. And I didn't know how this would end because there was 3 cars fighting for it on the last lap, and that's just a race I'd highly recommend any of the listeners. If you're listening on Spotify and you want to go watch a really cool B main figure 8 race, look up that one, B main number 1, because it was a dog fight. And that set up B main number 2, where James Fisher and Jared Milligan came out and ran solid laps. Seth West floor jumped out to the early lead, and he just ran into some car problems, and I think he popped an axle out. He was gonna win until he popped the axle out, and James smartly took it easy, and Jared Mulligan was able to bring home 2nd place. So James was the one that went on to the A main. Tucker Berry, nice seeing him out there. He got 3rd. He was in the running as well. It was nice seeing Tucker back out there. And B main number 4, it was Brenton Holdsharp, Landon Dow, and Tracy Sneerts running the top 3. And Tracy was a lap down. A lot of people came up and they're like, "Man, Tracy won that because she crossed the line right before Brenton." And we were like, "Well, she was a lap down. We're pretty sure until she passed Brenton right before the checkered flag." And we went back and watched the video with Tracy, and that's Brenton was your winner. Brenton was running 2nd when the white flag came. He going into the first corner, I thought he pulled his cards a little too soon. He decided to drive right up into the back of the 75 machine of Landon Dow, pushed him all the way up, and he kind of got hung up himself on a couple other cars, but he somehow ended up ahead of Landon coming out of that far corner into like on a racetrack, say 3 and 4, turns 3 and 4, and coming into the last corner, he got hung up, and Landon so angry, just like I said earlier, he got his anger got to the best of him. He just drives right up in the back of Brenton again to pay him back, and it knocks Brenton free, and Brenton ends up winning that one. So if Landon would have just went around him, he would have won the B main, and he'd have been in the A. But nope, Brenton was the one that made the A, and so that sets up our A main. I know I'm kind of going through this fast because we still got the Derby to recap real quick. So the A main pulls out, and there was some battles again. Landon Worthy running that same car he ran at Jeff City, and he jumped out to an early lead. Kyle Wardenhausen and Dylan Chilton were working their way up through the field. Joshua Craig was just on rails, and Dylan laying down the fastest lap of your A main with a 15-second lap, and he had a whole second lap faster than anyone else out there in the A main. So he was flat, or I guess I wasn't looking down. Looks like James Fisher was like a tenth of a second behind him actually on fastest laps. But yep, so Landon drove a really consistent race, 16-second laps consistently, but Dylan was running 15-second laps and ran him down. And Landon just got hung up again, and that's when Dylan passed him again. It was kind of like Jeff City, and it was a really good run by Joshua Craig. Joshua Craig was flat putting down laps as well, and he worked his way all the way up to fourth place. And Kyle Wardenhausen getting third. Landon Worthy finished second. Dylan Chilton finished first. We're going to get him on here. So last year on the Crashed It podcast, we're going to get him on here next week, hopefully. I haven't talked to him. I just talked to some of his teammates. But last year on the Crashed It podcast, we said, we've got Jeff City, we've got California, and then we have the race for 28. That's our biggest 3 races right in a row for the figure 8 series. And I went on here and said, you know what? I'd give $100 to whoever could win all 3 of them races in a row, just because it would be an amazing feat to me. And now we're a year removed from that, and we have a realistic chance that someone may actually pull that off. And that's the only person that can do it right now is Dylan Chilton, and he has a realistic shot of winning not only the biggest 3 races in a row, being crowned the Triple Crown winner, and also getting an extra $100 from me and the Crashed It podcast, and just my Crashed It YouTube channel. But I'm ready to hand that cash money over if he is the one that completes that feat. I'm excited to see someone actually have a chance a year removed of even mentioning it. This was a feat that I thought, man, I don't know if anyone will ever do it. Someone probably will in about 8 years. That's what I put a cap on it. And now we're here. We are now 1 year removed, and we might get it done right here, right now. And I got on my YouTube chat. I seen that Joshua Craig said it's all the fuel, baby. Q16. So Yeah, giving away secrets on the chat, baby. But historically, it's another great night of figure eight racing at the Moniteau County Fair. Everyone that was in attendance got to see something special. And what they got to see is not only a 20 car feature battling it out for the A main and the $1,000 to win. I mean, it was dogfight all over. There's going to be some reels come out the next couple of days of the figure eight guys just laying down trying to put their cars in places they don't even fit. And just some hard shots that we always see at the fairs and stuff like that. But they got to see the 4TT come out in the powder puff. Tracy Snirich was racing for her mom, and she brought home the win. She's normally, we call her Racing Tracy. She runs it with the guys all the time. And she wanted to go out there and show these girls that she still has what go to bed. Why you up? Ah, my kids are still awake. It's 10:30 at night. But she went out there and just let her eat. And I kind of cracked up because Tracy, she's probably gonna kill me for this, but she's always one of the ones that come. I'd say, hey, why don't you run with the powder puff? And she'd say, oh, it's too rough. Them girls they just drive through you and stuff. And she was the one that was driving. Yeah. She is the one that was driving through people. And I just got a kick out of it. And she sent me a little TikTok video of like different types of announcers. And she was saying like, man, you're the last one that was a WWE announcer that and I was like, yeah, I was like, especially when I'm yelling, man, she just laid the smackdown on that girl out there. She said, I didn't even know you said that. I said, oh, you were driving. But congrats, Tracy, bringing home the win in the powder puff. And I can't remember who got second. And the boys did not put that on there. But she brought home the win in the powder puff. Congrats to her. There was all kind of carnage going on out there in the powder puff, and I was just getting a kick out of watching them women. They lay it on the line every week, and I say week after week, stick around, watch the powder puff because it's crazy. These girls do things that you just don't even think is possible. We seen it last year when I think it was Lori Edgar decided to cartwheel a car on the tire at Versailles. And we're just seeing just crazy stuff happen. And don't forget, if you're a figure eight guy, check out the website. They've got all kinds of like fastest laps. Our fastest lap of the night went to Brenton Holdle Sharp. He ran a 13-second 6:15 lap with 13.615. And our second fastest lap was Tracy Snirich running a 13.729. And heat, they were both in the same heat, looks like. So I thought that was really cool. And so how to read this, if you're looking at that chart, they'll say Division 7, Moto 1. The division is your heat races. The semi is like a B main or like a stock figure eight. And then your main is their A main. So the semis are the Bs or the stock figure eight. And that's just how to read that. It's just some cool information. I know you guys always like to check it out, see who's putting down the fastest laps and stuff like that. And he put it out there for everybody to see now. So I don't know if he started doing that this week, but I thought that was pretty cool. So Lucky Sevens overall had a good night, and we appreciate everybody's support again. We're going to talk about the race for 28 coming up. It's one of our favorite shows to put on. And we're going to talk about that next week on the podcast. But also, this is a Demolition Derby podcast. And I had the privilege to go watch the Derby on Saturday night. The event was put on by J&B Promotions, also at the Moniteau County Fairgrounds. I got there, found out they were going to have mowers. They had gut and go. They had stock big cars. They had a street stock class. The mowers impressed me this year. I really thought the guys that were driving the mowers, I seen how much time they put into it, and they're passionate about it. They went out there and put on a show for the fans, and I had a guy that was sitting next to me whenever I was trying to record. I recorded a snippet. I forgot to put it on the YouTube. I will. But I was recording the snippet and you can hear it in there. This guy's he's like a case of beer in. He's like, dude, that little kid over there is gonna kill somebody on that little mower. He was like, he's running 60 mile an hour out there. And I was like, no, he's not. He was going like 20. But them guys, credit to them, they're shifting gears and pedal to the metal. It was awesome. For about 5 minutes for me, it was awesome to watch. I think if they did like time caps and did scoring, that would be a way to make it more presentable to like a bigger fan base. There are people out there that just enjoy it, but in the Derby world, like if you were to take it to a major show and did like a point system or something, if you flip someone over, it's worth so many points or something like that. There was one guy out there in the mowers, he kept waving people off. Like, don't hit me. And then he'd just drive off again. I was like, man, if I was a driver out there and I seen that, that'd be the first guy I just ran through. We tell our drivers, if you're going to wave someone off, it better be for a reason, because we've seen it in the past. Someone waves someone off. Then later on in the Derby, they do it again because there's an actual problem in the car. And guess what? That guy is not going to stop this time because he's got it in the back of his head. Well, last time he waved me off and then he didn't even break his stick. He just kept going. And that's how people get hurt. So just some words of advice for people. Don't be waving people off just because you don't want to get hit. Don't sign up for the Derby if you don't want to get hit. Don't sign up for a figure eight if you don't want to get hit, because it's going to happen eventually. But then they had the mod compacts come on the track next. They shortened the track, which, like I said earlier, there was a decision about that. I don't know nothing about it. It don't matter to me because it was still an awesome Derby. When I got there, I was a little bummed, but after seeing what the guys did on the track, the drivers, what they did, it's fine with me. Drivers put on a show. In the compacts, it was I do not have results in front of me, guys. I'm going to try my best to recap this the best I can. But Landon Worthy coming out with the win. There was like 5 BAS drivers out there. I think it was Xander Hager, Wes Jordan, Landon Worthy, Kyle Wardenhausen, and Jordan Tobin. And then there was Joshua, my brother, was out there. Jared Hatch, who we had on earlier, was out there in a figure eight car. And then we had Brady Smith and Cody Bedsworth was out there. And them guys, they did a really good job putting on a show. It looked like the BS guys went right after Cody Bedsworth and Brady, which we all knew that was going to happen. And them two held their own really good. Brady ran it all the way down to second. Landon brought home the win. Joshua got third, and I don't remember who got fourth. Sorry about that, but that was the top three. And it was a good show. There were some good hard shots. The track was still a little wet. They wetted it down right before they went out. After they wetted it down before the mowers went out, and then after the mowers got off, they wetted it down some more. So they were struggling to find traction at sometimes, and it was still a hard hitting show. Then the stock class came out, and by this time the dirt was turned up pretty good, and it was still a little slick, and it was man, it was. Let's see who we had. We had Vince McGee out there. We had Trey out there. Trey Hewer. We had Justin Meyer. We had drawing blanks now. Justin Meyer, Trey, Vince. I know for a fact that the wagon was TJ. We had TJ Johns out there, and then we had Kayla Johns were out there. And it was nice to see all them guys out there. And there was some more drivers out there. I'm drawing blanks on you guys. I'm sorry. Everybody that was out there from the drop of the flag, that stock class was my favorite class of the night. Them guys were flat getting with it. And I mean, you'd see Vince come flying across track, ping pong off a few cars. Then Justin Myers sends it full track on someone's front end. And then Trey decides to park in someone's front end. And it was just, I mean, Kayla John would come across track and smoke that number 3. I can't remember. I can't remember everybody that was out there, but she would smoke a car. Then at one point, TJ come all the way across the track and put a good shot on Cody Meyer. And just the way it ended, it was cool. But if you guys want to watch a good derby, go on the Crashed It YouTube page and look up Moniteau County Fair 2023 stock class and watch that 7-minute derby. 7 minutes to get through that whole heat, and they did not lift. I mean, Cody Meyer backs up, comes all the way across the track multiple times, just bouncing off the rev limiter. And it's drivers like that make, recording videos fun for me. I mean, that's what my followers, the people that subscribe to the Crashed It channel, that help me keep growing each and every week. It's drivers like that help me get more subscribers to where, I can start, giving back to the derby world. We try each and every, we try to give back the most we can, but funds are limited. So if you ever want to support the Crashed It page, the best thing you can do is just hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And then, so after the stock class, they had the super stock class come out. And that was, gee whiz, Downtown Allen Brown, Cody Brown, Twisted Tea, George Turpin was out there. Just there, Michael White was out there. There's a bunch of drivers that I should remember their names, but it's getting late at night. I don't have any results in front of me. I reached out, tried to get some. They just probably a little late on my end. I was trying to get some results so I could run it down for you, all of my listeners, and for the people that actually drove in it so they could hear. But I don't know who had their, at one point in the Derby. So George Turpin pushes this blue car across the arena right into the back of Cody Brown. And it looked like the radiator cap hit an eject button. That thing was like Rocket Man. It went flying through the air. I made a TikTok reel over it because I was impressed. This radiator cap made it over. It reached a point of probably about 30 or 40 feet in the air because it was over the building that's up on the hill. You can see the radiator cap like blast off up into the air, for like higher than the building. That's up on a hill. And at that point, you see a geyser of hot antifreeze or water come shooting out, and old Twisted Tea, and I think, oh gosh dang it, who was riding with him? Gosh, I know it's the guy. Where's the pink helmet? The Compact's cars. Oh, GD. Sean Lackey. Sean Lackey is riding with Twisted Tea, and I think they both got a little bit of that antifreeze on them. I'm gonna have to reach out and ask them. But man, that had to be hot because this wasn't right at the beginning of the Derby. This is like 5 minutes into the Derby when that happened. And Cody Brown, it sounded like to me his car was just not running as good as I've heard it run. He has a cool year engine, I believe, in that car, and I've heard it run really good and in the past, and I sounded like to me it was laboring just a little bit, but it still sounded really good. He brought home the win, and he stood up some front ends out there. I've got pretty good angle on it. He come all the way across the track and stood up that old boy's front end, and he just backs up like nothing happened. It came down to him and George Turpin, the old Twisted Tea. I believe he has his own podcast. I've listened to it several times ago. It's the Old Bud podcast. I'm gonna give him a shout out on here. Go if you want to hear two funny guys, go listen to that. That's another podcast. They talk about demo derbies every now and then. But he's just a funny guy to be around, and he holds himself to a really high standard. And George it got to a chess match between him and Cody Brown at the end of that. And he just got out of position a little bit too much, and Cody parked George's car on the concrete blocks. So, and that was the end of it. But downtown Allen Brown made a hell of a shot right off the bat, and you could see the drive shaft just bent. I mean, it was just bent to pieces. Like, it was one piece, but it was just super bent. And you could see it clearly at the video. That thing was just under there. And it just was a good derby though. I would have loved to see Micah White's car running better. I heard that his car was running really good before the derby, and then like at his house or at the garage that the car was at, and then when they got to the track, it took like 3 minutes or something like that to get started, just to get out there. And that's never a good sign. That's just one of them dumb luck things that happen. But man, it's just so nice to see them guys out there and putting on a show. The fans were loving it. One thing I do is I take a step back and just look at the way crowds react to different shows, and they were on their feet and they were really into that derby. J&B did a really good job on it. And at the end of the night, we had a gut and go class still to come. It was their biggest class, so they saved it to the end. My brother, Jacob Wood, bringing home the win. Congrats on that, Jacob. I had put money on him. I felt like I was at Blizzard Bash. I was standing by Jordan Youngmeyer, and he's like, "Hey, man, you want to get in on this?" And I was like, "Has anyone got Jake yet?" And they're like, "Nope." I said, "I do. Now I'm in." And I jumped right in on that. And everyone was like betting $1. It wasn't much, but he had a bunch of people down there just picking random people, and I was getting a kick out of it because Donald Porter was on my left hand side and his son was up there. And throughout the derby, he kept saying like, "Man, that Jacob Wood, he's looking pretty good. Jacob Wood, he surprises me that he's still in here." And I was just looking at him laughing. He goes, "Can you believe that Jacob Wood might actually win this?" And I was like, "Oh, you're trying to jinx him now." And he goes, He goes, and I remember at one point in time, he goes, "Man, if that Jacob Wood wins, that'd just be the most impressive thing for me. I would never have thought Jacob Wood would win a Derby." And I was just laughing. Um, and it's just one of the moments you just had to be there. I looked around, everyone's just dying, laughing, like, man, this kid don't even know. and but Jacob brought home the win. Congrats to SM driver, Full Send Mafia driver Derek Wardenhausen bringing home second in the Ranger. So Jacob was in a van, Derek was in a Ranger, and Ferguson boys were out there. They did pretty good. Kurt Turpin was, I think he ran it down to fourth or something like that. But there was another van out there. I don't know who it was. Brenton was out there in like a Explorer or something, and man, he took a hell of a door shot. He made a Facebook post about it later on, like make sure you're building your cages and stuff like that. And there was a lot of door shots, a lot of people pulling their doors, and then a lot of people just running into doors. Just remember, guys, that everyone's got to work on Monday, and we don't want anyone getting hurt out there. But overall, the gut go class is really fun to watch. We've seen a lot of, there were some hard hits, and then there was some guys that you could tell their awareness, like their awareness of like the track awareness and stuff is just top of the line. I was just getting a kick out of watching Jacob because at the beginning of the Derby, these old boys from California were just there to have a hell of a time, and they were just laying it to Jake right off the bat. And I was like, man, he ain't even gonna make it to the top 10. This rate, he was taking all kinds of funky shots and just like front end shots. And um, after he got separated from them guys, you could just tell his awareness. Like he'd come down to the end of the track and he'd be looking like what everybody is doing. He was real conscious of what his front end was doing. Like if someone came at his wheels, he'd straighten his wheels up before they ever got there. And he's just really good about pulling his, the van forward or backwards to avoid dead on wheel shots. And I seen Kurt Turpin doing the same thing, and I was thinking, man, these guys are putting on a driving clinic right now. Um, and Derek was out there. It came to a point like 3 minutes in the Derby. To me, it looked like he just said, "Screw it, I'm going for Mad Dog," because that Derek was just laying down some shots out there that were definitely Mad Dog worthy. Vince was doing really good too, laying down hard shots. But all in all, it's another great week of Demolition Derby for Moniteau County, and I just love all the local support that we see for every promoter around here. And from Lucky Sevens, I just got to say thanks to all the drivers again for showing up. I know the boys really appreciate it, and they're just tickled to death to see all the support they get. And I know Gary with J and B had to be thrilled with turnout. It seemed like a pretty good turnout for the derbies this year, and he's got to tip his hat to the drivers because they all drove. They all came out and put on a show, and that's all you can ask for, and that's all we hope to see the rest of the year. Next week we're going to be recapping, or we're going to be doing like a little prelude show. I'm going to have some drivers on here. We're also I'm going to take the stand as a analyst and make some predictions. And I hope to not hurt anyone's feelings, but they're going to be honest predictions on what I expect to see out of everybody that shows up for the race for 28. And we've got a few things we're going to cover on things that I know are going to go down at the race for 28 that no one's aware of yet. And it's starting to, I'm just excited for that show. It's my favorite figure eight of the year just because of the chaos that takes place with 28 drivers. We'll touch on that next week on the podcast. And then after that, we're going to get ready for Mocane. It's going to be Demolition Derby on the podcast following that. So we'll recap it, then recap Mocane. in the following week. So there's the next 3 weeks, what they're going to look like. So next week, we're going to have like a prelude show to the race for 28. The next week, we'll recap the race for 28, prelude to the Derby. And then we'll recap the Derby after that the next week. So this week coming up, I believe, is the State Fair Demolition Derby. I will not be there this Sunday. Good luck to all the drivers that go and show up for that one. I've had a few people reach out and ask me if I was going to go record that show, and I'm not. I'm going to be out of town, so hopefully I can catch up on some film for that show. But for everybody that's tuning in, we thank you for watching another episode of the Crashed It podcast. It's getting pretty late, and I hope everybody just gets their stuff ready for the next show wherever they're running. And don't forget, if you want to help us out, hit that subscribe button. And at the next show you're driving in, go out there and send it. We really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.